This story is not just about whaling. It is a complex history of human desire, greed, survival, progress, and environmental destruction. It revolves around a place many have never heard of, South Georgia Island, a white, ice-covered island lost at the edge of the world. But once, this isolated snow-covered land was the world's busiest, most terrifying, and most brutal center for whaling. Today, we go back to that island, where the sea was red, the factories were burning hot, and the air was heavy with the smell of whale blubber. This is the story of South Georgia, an ice-covered island floating in the middle of the South Atlantic. There are no cities here, no permanent residents, and no warmth. Only icy wind, sharp mountains, thick ice, and turbulent seas. When sailors in the 18th century first saw this island, they called it a place where only the brave dare to breathe. Thousands of blue whales, fin whales, and humpback whales roamed around this island, and hidden inside their bodies was the gold of the then world. Whale oil. That oil powered America's lamps, Europe's factories, the machines of the Industrial Revolution, commercial lubricants, soaps and creams, even luxury perfumes. Whale oil was the world's most valuable liquid before petroleum, and South Georgia was its capital. The world in 1800, 1900 was dependent on whale oil. Whale oil doesn't freeze in the cold, burns quickly, produces less smoke, long-lasting, and was available in vast quantities. From New York in America to London, Berlin, Paris, the demand for whale oil was sky-high everywhere. No one knew then how just 1 century of greed would almost wipe out an empire of the sea. In 1904, the Norwegian explorer and businessman Carl Anton Larsen first set foot on South Georgia Island. He saw seas full of whales, land full of empty space, and infinite opportunity. The South Georgia whaling era began that very year, one of the most ruthless hunting eras in human history. A huge whale processing center was established in a place called Grytviken. Thousands of laborers worked here. Explorers who came from Norway, Scotland, Iceland, and America. Grytviken, Lythe Harbor, Stromness. These names became the death centers of the whales. How were the whales hunted? Ships with hunting teams went out to sea. Huge vessels equipped with a harpoon gun. The head of that gun contained explosives. The whale was targeted. As soon as a whale's back was sighted from a distance, fire. An explosive harpoon pierced the whale's body, causing an explosion inside. The whale collapsed underwater in immense pain. The dead whale was tied to the ship and dragged back to the factory. There, massive blades were used for cutting. For hours on end, skin, blubber, meat, bones, everything was separated. Oil was extracted by boiling the blubber. The oil was poured into large tanks and shipped to Europe and America. 30 to 40 whales were butchered every day. The scene was so horrific that sailors would say, "The sea around South Georgia was never blue, it was red." Many believe whaling was only the work of Norway or Iceland. But the truth is, America was one of the world's largest buyers and consumers of whale oil. Boston, New Bedford, New York, these were the main ports for the whale oil trade. A large portion of the oil that powered American factories during the Industrial Revolution came from places like South Georgia. Even many American businessmen invested in this island. The laborers came here year after year without their families. The environment was freezing cold, stormy, dangerous, monotonous, and life-threatening. There was stench, blood, meat, cutting or dismemberment, screaming, pressure, exhaustion, yet they worked to survive. A Norwegian laborer wrote in his diary, "In the day, we kill the whales. At night, we die ourselves from exhaustion." 1910, 1930. In these 20 years alone, the whale population around South Georgia dropped by 90%. The reasons? There were no rules. Hunting was unlimited. Demand was endless. The business was ruthless. Whales were dying in the same way soldiers used to die on the battlefield. 40,000 whales were hunted in a single year. This is a record, and a stain on humanity. After the 1960s, the whale population declined so much that the factories had to close. Grytviken, Stromness, all places turned into ghost towns. Today there are broken factories, rusted ships, shivering wind, and accumulated memories, reminding everyone the consequences of greed are never good. Whaling is almost banned in today's world. Under IWC rules, South Georgia is a complete whale sanctuary. Now there are scientists conducting research, photographers taking pictures, tourists visiting history, and the whale population is slowly increasing. Where the sea was once red, now the song of whales can be heard. This history teaches America and the entire world, if progress destroys the environment, it is not progress. Natural resources are not infinite. If history is forgotten, the future is also lost. Humans destroy. Humans can also protect. The death of thousands of whales, the suffering of thousands of people, and the history of an island teaches us, when humans make nature an enemy, nature is never defeated. It is the humans who are defeated. South Georgia is not just an island. It is a mirror of human history, where we see our greed, our mistakes, and our opportunity to learn. The ocean waves still say, "Protect what remains, or lose what you love." This is the story of South Georgia. This is the rise and fall of the whaling empire. This is the lesson for the world.